Mississippi, home of the Bulldogs, who tonight will play host to the Missouri Tigers in one of two non-Big 12 matchups for the Southeastern Conference. Mississippi State comes in at 2-5 in league play. Missouri trying to snap a two-game losing streak. They are 3-4 in the Southeastern Conference. Mike Morgan, Dane Bradshaw. And Dane, when you talk about the SEC right now, a lot of people believe this is the deepest league in the country, if not the best. 8 teams projected in the field of the NCAA tournament, according to our own Joe Lunardi, and Missouri right there on the bubble.
Missouri has to come back off of this two-game losing streak. Last 4 in. It's all about winning the games you're supposed to win, winning a few that you're not supposed to win. They don't have any bad losses in conference play, but this is a game they have to take care of, no matter the fact that they're on the road.
This game's got a little star power, not the names you would think. How about Cassius and the Q?
Oh, Cash Money Robertson. He is an absolute assassin from the three-point line. The graduate transfer is shooting over 40% from beyond the arc and can get his shot off over anyone. Mississippi State must know where he is at all times. The Bulldogs have star power of their own, and Quidary Weatherspoon, exceptional score, must be locked in on both ends of the floor. It's going to be a big one tonight in the Hump.
Getting pumped up here at the Hump. Fans hoping that the Bulldogs can humble Missouri a little bit. The Tigers have been humble the last couple of games, trying to snap a 2-game losing streak. Plenty of beef inside for both these teams with their front lines, but again, Dane Bradshaw, a couple of very talented guards. Cassius Robertson, one of the top three-point shooters in the country. And Quidary Weatherspoon, now in his 3rd year with the program, one of the better, more explosive scorers in the SEC.
With Robertson, 63% of his shots come from 3. That is a huge number. Missouri must get him open looks. On the flip side, Mississippi State has to make him put it on the floor and beat you from 2.
Bulldogs in the home white unis, Mizzou in gray. We are underway here in Starkville. Peters, who's instantly gotten back in the good graces of Ben Howland in the starting lineup after going to the bench, and there's the first turnover of the game as Abdul Adu, a 6'11 freshman out of Nigeria, who they're very high on, still trying to add some polish to his game.
They wouldn't normally go to him right out of the gate, but they're trying to get foul trouble on the big man. Tillman did a nice job, did number 23 in gray, holding his ground.
Tillman has had foul trouble seemingly all year long. Jonte Porter draws a double. He's a terrific passer, finds Geist for an open 3, who delivers an air ball. Weatherspoon on the attack. Weatherspoon left it short. That is Nick Weatherspoon, the brother of the young man that we highlighted at the Open, Quidary Weatherspoon. Nick, the freshman. And there is Cassius Robertson with a rare 2.
Well, a nice job of not settling for 3. If nobody's going to come out on you, then step up there and make the 15-footer.
Robertson, the leading scorer, averaging 15.5 a game. Adu working the block, bellied up by Tillman. And Tillman forces a steal into the hands of Geist. Geist exploding into front court, throws it up wildly, and out of bounds to Missouri.
Ben Howland is really high on Adu, says he's one of his favorite players he's ever had, and he's just a freshman. Huge upside, but not a typical back-to-the-basket type player yet. They're trying to feed it in there to get Tillman in foul trouble, but it can only work so long before it's counterproductive.
Barnett left alone for that second attempt. Jordan Barnett averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds a game, and Mizzou with a quick 4-0 lead. Ben Howland leading Mississippi State now in his 3rd year with the program. Weatherspoon on a pull-up. Geist tracks it down. Robertson for 3. That's his shot. left that one short. Quinndary going to launch a three, and Quinndary Weatherspoon knocks it down. A 31% three-point shooter on the year, but really a better shooter than that.
And he's best off the bounce. That's where he's most comfortable, is taking a few dribbles and pulling up on you.
Barnett with a hand in his face, and out of bounds to the Bulldogs. Cuonzo Martin, first year as the Missouri head coach. He has found a very happy home just 2 hours from his hometown in East St. Louis. Coming from Cal before that, experience in the SEC, working with Tennessee, and led the Volunteers in his final year to the Sweet 16.
He's a big reason why the SEC is the best it's been in a decade. When you talk about the depth from top to bottom, where Missouri came from the bottom last year to where they are now in the NCAA conversation.
There's Eric Holman on a three. He doesn't shoot many, but he's been shooting them at a pretty good clip, 50% coming in. Van Leer bumped and fouled by Quinndary Weatherspoon, his first. Dave, when you talk about Missouri, we mentioned the two-game losing streak, so much talent even without Michael Porter, who got hurt in the first game of the year. But when things are not going well for Mizzou, what do they need to do better tonight?
Well, the scouting report is out. They're a terrific three-point shooting team, and their guards struggle creating and breaking you down one-on-one. So they've got to figure out a way to get the ball in down low and get tough twos to go in. The good news for Missouri, when their offense struggles, their defense continues to step up to keep them in games. Missouri
loves the three ball, and that's what Van Leer is out there to do. He knocks down the triple. As a team, Missouri shooting 38% from downtown. Strong numbers. Almost a steal. The quick hands by Robertson. Peters will set it up top with under 10 to shoot. Splits the double, kick pass, and an offensive foul. And a great job by Cassius Robertson to draw it. I talked about Missouri, and this is a lot for any team to handle. Michael Porter, of course, a lottery pick in the waiting, and he's on the bench tonight. But Terrence Phillips, that's the latest news. Backup point guard, a veteran on this team and this program, suspended. Violation of team rules is all we could wiggle out of the information think tank. Pass
this
down
is a
low
team
to Porter.
that was only going 9 deep to begin with. Now that shrinks the rotation to 8 for the most part. So Coach Martin's, he's already gone to some substitutions early, keep the bodies fresh, keep guys out of foul trouble, but they've executed extremely well early on.
You got a couple of players from Missouri averaging over 30 minutes a game. Weatherspoon, beautiful feed to Adu, and a great block down low. That was Reed Nico. Nico, the 6'10 sophomore out of Maple Grove, Minnesota. Porter faces up. Backing in, wheels, deals. Pretty move by Jontay Porter.
He is tough. He is so skilled. We've had Vanderbilt several times. We've talked about the loss of Luke Cornett, the terrific senior, 7-footer that could pass, shoot, defend. Jontay Porter has some of that skill set. He is a remarkable passer in the post, so it makes it hard to go double team him because he's going to make the right read, but then when you leave him one-on-one, if he can get that aspect of his game back to the basket, watch out.
Weatherspoon takes it strong and draws the foul on the floor.
You can get the ball inside. That's the tough part, but tough finishing is even tougher. Big time Nico with the block. Missouri up early.
Missouri up by 5 with a tick over 15 minutes left to go in the first half as we welcome you back inside the hump. He is Dane Bradshaw, the former Tennessee Volunteer. I am Mike Morgan. Dane, we've talked about this Missouri team. There's a lot to like in Cuonzo's first year. As we mentioned, they shoot the three extremely well, 38%. They're long, they rebound, they block shots, but they've been humbled a little bit. What do they need to do to get back on track?
Well, I think it starts with their offense. Their defense is in check. I mean, they can stop people and hold them, with the exception of Auburn, who seems to be scoring on everybody. But if you look at their resume, you see 3 and 4 in conference play, and you say, what's wrong? Well, those losses are forgivable. I mean, you think about they've lost to Florida, lost at Arkansas, lost at A&M, and lost to Auburn. Those are 4 teams projected to be in the NCAA tournament. So it goes back to what we said in the open. If you want to make the NCAA tournament, it's about winning games you're supposed to win and pick up a couple you're not supposed to win. And this is a game right here that, despite being on the road, is a game I think Missouri needs to have to keep themselves in Lunardi's projected field.
Peters misfires on a 3, and the rebound cleared by Puryear. It's a good and bad for being such a deep and talented league this year in the SEC. Number one, it helps for an RPI standpoint, the amount of bids this league is likely going to receive. However, there are no nights off. There's no bottom feeders this year. As Carter gets fouled on the jump shot, he'll shoot a pair.
It used to be coach speak of anybody can beat anybody, but
we all knew that wasn't true.
Yeah.
This year, that's actually an accurate assessment.
Yeah, right. I mean, these guys look at their schedule and say, where the heck's our next win going to come from? But, you know, this credit guys like Coach Conzo Martin, Will Wade, coaches that have come into this league and turned their programs around and made them competitive very quickly. And then you combine that with people like Rick Barnes and Frank Martin and Bruce Pearl, what's going on in these other programs that have taken a little bit longer to build. And now you have a situation where the SEC and the Big 12 Challenge today.
That's right.
5 wins for the SEC. 4 for the Big 12, and Kentucky trailing a little bit. But nevertheless, a few years ago, if you would have said SEC Big 12 Challenge would be a split, you'd take it.
You'd take it gladly.
They're walking the walk right now.
And keep in mind, the worst the SEC can do in this annual event would be a tie. And already you've seen a couple of upset wins for the Southeastern Conference, and there's no Auburn, the top team in the league right now, playing this year. Geist up top with 8 to shoot. Finds the cutter. That's Puryear. Had it blocked. Mississippi State, one of the best shot blocking teams out there. Adu and Holman can both swat it away with ease. Tyson Carter. Father Greg, successful basketball coach at Starkville High. Carter on a travel. And I'm sure Pops did not teach him that move.
Normally he would take that 3-point shot, but he's been struggling from deep, so I think he's trying to get the ball on the floor, see it go in from 2, let that open up his 3. That hesitation caused him to travel.
You saw a shot there. Father, Greg Carter, coach at Starkville High School. Son Tyson helped lead him to 2 state championships. 4th turnover on the Bulldogs. Tillman wheels and deals. Nice left hand by Jeremiah Tillman.
He is as strong of a post player as there is in the SEC. I watched film with Mississippi State, and I'm telling you, they showed clips of him backing down Tyler Davis, the biggest load in the SEC for Texas A&M. That's the strength that Tillman has down low.
The only knock on his game so far is he can't stay on the floor. He's always in foul trouble. Barnett found a good look, but misfired on the 3, and a foul down low on Mississippi State.
If you want to go body to body with Tillman, you can try, but you better flop and try to get a whistle, because he's going to back you down and go to work. As you alluded to, Mike, staying out of foul trouble has been the key. And Coach Martin took him out after about 2.5 minutes of play.
Right.
And for them, that's a victory. He had no fouls in that first 2.5 minutes. Save them, let them get some rest, but more importantly, just keep them off the court so that you can save them for the rest of the half and be able to put them back in as they have now and get more minutes out of them, as opposed to risking him staying on the court for multiple minutes, leading to multiple fouls.
Puryear backing in. A lot of contact. Straightaway 3 ball from Barnett. He's missed a couple of good looks, but an offensive rebound for Puryear. Missouri plus 6.5 on the year in rebound margin. So much of that has to do with the great length that they usually have on the floor. Tillman wants it down low, faces up, fires a baseline jumper, no good, and the rebound out to Weatherspoon. Mississippi State has not scored a field goal in nearly 5 minutes.
They're a good defensive team, but for them to take the next step, I think they have to be an elite defensive team. They've got a better chance at being great defensively than they do offensively. Right now, they're just stagnant a little bit. They're not making shots from the perimeter. They take a lot of threes. They don't make many threes. And so they've got to win games on the defensive end.
Again, shot clock under 5. Going to have to force one up here, and that'll be a jump ball. And the arrow to Missouri. Eli Wright was caught in the trees, and all he could do was try and hoist one up there. It is a luxury that Cuonzo Martin has. When you've got Jontay Porter on the floor at 6'11", Tillman at 6'10", you got guys like Barnett, Puryear, both around 6'7", and they can really throw some size at you.
Well, with Porter out here at 6'11", he can still feel like he has a 4-guard lineup. You know, he's skilled like guards out there, but with the height of big men.
Great passing to set up a 3 by Geist. And it will be Mississippi State basketball, and we'll go to break here with the Tigers up by 5, 11:43 to go, first half.
A game of runs between Kentucky and West Virginia. Wildcats down 17 at one point. Part of this was Kevin Knox. Kentucky going a 25-4 run, but West Virginia has gotten back into it as well. 64-66 with 6 minutes left. Kevin Knox, 27 points. Back to Mike Morgan and the man I miss back here in the studios, Dave Bradshaw.
I'm sure he misses you as well, Peter Burns.
You know, but the fact that I'm behind the desk means I don't have to lose every time in the sock challenge with Peter Burns, where I don't have to stand up. Nobody has to see my lame socks against the colorful stuff.
That's a no-win situation. Right now, the SEC is in a no-lose situation. The worst they can do is a tie, depending on the final in that Kentucky-West Virginia clash up there in Morgantown. 6 wins would clinch it. The SEC sitting at 5, and again, the SEC's never won the event, tied it last year 5-5, but as you said earlier, Dane, that was a win for the Southeastern Conference. And again, considering that the SEC is participating without 2 of its best teams, Auburn, and I would say Missouri is one of the best when they're playing their best basketball. I would say a tie would almost be a win for the SEC.
And the narrative for so long has been, okay, you all at SEC have Kentucky, you've got Florida, but who else? And this SEC Big 12 Challenge validates the depth of the league. And even last year when the SEC tied, Kentucky wasn't one of those 5 wins. And so the fact that the league can hold their own regardless of Kentucky's success, I think is a big statement for the league. But unlike last year's where the SEC needed a good performance to validate themselves, right now, I just think it's icing on the cake to tell the rest of the world that the SEC is for real and they're here to stay. But it started really last year with the challenge, and then getting enough teams in the NCAA tournament with good seeds for winnable games. And then obviously with the likes of South Carolina, the SEC performed extremely well.
Now, the best way I would put it, the SEC is playing with house money in that event right now. Another turnover on Mississippi State. That's 5, and they haven't scored in nearly 6 minutes. That's a problem. But offense has been a problem this year for the Bulldogs. Porter on a rare miss. Ordinarily such pretty form for the 6'11 freshman who's recently turned 18 years of age. And there's a bucket, a much-needed bucket for the Bulldogs.
And under control with his head up. The freshman Weatherspoon gets down there. He's not looking to take it himself. Draws the defender and dumps it off.
Reed Nico, the sophomore, knocks down the first.
Mike, this is a little bit of the issue really with Missouri right now is they've played terrific defensively. I mean, we're almost halfway through the first half. Mississippi State on pace for a 20-point first half. The problem is Missouri's not putting up a bunch of points themselves either. So for them, I think it's important they try to push it even more in transition because they score early in the clock or late in the clock.
It was a rare miss for Missouri at the free throw line, shooting 82% in conference play. That's a staggering number. And there's another staggering 3 for Cassius Robertson, who has been as good as they come in the entire SEC. I'd put him right up there with Bryce Brown of Auburn, the best 3-point demons in the league.
Boxing out on a free throw should be the easiest defensive rebounding opportunity, but see what happens when you don't? That's a 4-point possession for Missouri against a Mississippi State team that's struggling so much to put the ball in the hole.
Offensive rebound, and drawing the foul, Abdul Adu. mentioned Ben Howland's comments to us earlier today about Abdul Adu, 6'11" freshman from Nigeria, and like so many Nigerians coming over to the States, learning the game of basketball. But he kept saying, I love him. I love the guy, love his work ethic, love his potential. And what's not to love? Averaging over 2 blocks a game is Adu. Another strong SEC basketball doubleheader coming your way on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It'll be number 20 Florida squaring off against Georgia in Athens, and then number 19 Auburn will battle Ole Miss. And I would expect that number 19 next to Auburn's name to be much higher. They won another game today, blowing out LSU before we signed on. Bruce Pearl has something special right now on the Plains.
Auburn used to be at a point where they were trying to sneak up on people. At this point, I think they're intimidating people. Teams do not want to play Auburn right now because they can explode. You can be down 20-2 in a hurry. If you saw what happened to LSU today or in the second half against Georgia, Auburn is playing some efficient basketball offensively. Speaking of efficient, Cash Money Robertson's been going to work in this first half.
7 points on 3 of 4 shooting for the Canadian, Cassius from Canisius. Transfer out of Canisius, located in upstate New York, Buffalo. Adu on the slam on the give from Nick Weatherspoon.
Robertson's been filling it up, but he's in the doghouse on that possession. Coach Conzo Martin saying you have to guard the ball. That's just simple one-on-one defense, allowing your man to get into the paint and break it down.
Barnett's got the size advantage. Can't hit. And that's going to be a foul. Did they get Tillman?
Yeah, and that's where he has to be more disciplined. You don't have position. There's 2 people in front of you. You can't just bully somebody and push them in the back. That's what can lead to foul trouble.
We talk about Jeremiah Tillman. You want to talk about a number. 72 fouls in 369 minutes. I'm not the best mathematician in the world, but that's about a foul every 5 minutes. So it's just so hard to keep him on the floor.
Certainly one of their best players, and they're better when he's on the court. I'm sure Coach Martin's saying, look, we're already without Michael Porter Jr. We can't be without you, too.
Weatherspoon with an and one.
You got to know with Weatherspoon, he's right to drive all the way to the hole. When he goes left, he's looking to pull. But on the right side, you have to cut him off.
Second foul on Van Leer. Quindary Weatherspoon now in his junior year out of Canton, Mississippi. 6 points for Weatherspoon. Very often offensively, they go as he goes. They do not have a ton of offensive weapons. Quindary has to lead the way more often than not. Tillman draws a double and almost threw it away. He does.
And that's a better double team by Mississippi State. When you double team Porter, it's not as successful, but Tillman's not as good of a passer.
Weatherspoon finds his brother Nick. He was off balance on that shot. Van Leer. Van Leer with a weaving left-handed layup. I've been watching Cullen Van Leer now for a number of years. I've never seen him throw that move out of his repertoire.
I don't know if I've ever seen him take a 2. I know he has, but I'm sure you have never said Van Leer all the way to the rack. But 5 unexpected points for Van Leer off the bench. And Terrence Phillips was only playing 7 minutes per game, but there's still some production there, and Van Leer doing a nice job of picking up the slack.
And then Van Leer with quick hands knocks it out of bounds. Cullen Van Leer will go to the bench with a big smile on his face and a round of high fives from his teammates.
And these guys are doing a nice job. Coach Martin is rotating guys playing short stints because they're only 8 deep. And they're going to have that 30-plus minutes, but it's going to be more strategically placed.
That look on Cullen Van Leer's face is priceless. I mean, he's a young man that's had a tough stretch his first couple of years at Mizzou. At the buzzer, beautiful feed and finish there by Holman. Missouri quickly down the floor. No whistle for Tillman. Barnett fires a 3. He misses short.
Mississippi State's playing with fire. They're leaving Barnett open several times. They better find him.
Costly turnover there by the Bulldogs.
2 mismatches down low. I don't like that shot. 2 guards we're playing on 2 bigs and you jack a 3.
3 on 2, no finish. Everything but the finish for Nick Weatherspoon. Geist sets up a 3. Kicks high off the iron into the hands of Weatherspoon. Spinning, kicking, and into the waiting hands of Lamar Peters.
And that's what you got to do. When Weatherspoon goes right, you got to make him turn the other way.
Peters. Nifty move. Got him. Lamar Peters with the old okey doke.
Yeah, that's some pickup ball right there.
Sophomore out of New Orleans. And that'll inject some life into this crowd. Mississippi State on a 9-2 run. That's going to be offensive on Geist.
Cullen Van Leer, normally a 3-point shooter, but showing some versatility, getting all the way to the rack. Not to be outdone, Lamar Peters with the whoop, ball fake. Where'd it go? Right here. Go.
You may reveal. And the rain continues.
Ooh. As the Earl of Sandwich, I dub thee
The sandwich.
There was a time when the next big thing in food was stuffed between bread. Now, the next big thing is the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 3% cash back on dining, 2% on groceries, and 1% on all other purchases.
what's in your wallet.
Monday night, SEC Inside gives you an all-access pass to Arkansas and LSU basketball for never-before-seen footage and sounds from the season so far. Inside the Razorbacks at 9 and the Tigers at 9:30 right here on the SEC Network. I was watching some of that this morning with Mark Fox of Georgia and Frank Martin of South Carolina. That's a well-produced program. Recommend anybody to take some time to watch it. Missouri at times was hard to watch last year. You see through the first 20 games, 5-15, 0-8 in conference play, and RPI well above what you need to be considered for any postseason. And this year, obviously, a complete 180. Cuonzo Martin has brought some talent in, a 3-4 record in SEC play, an RPI of 40, as we showed you at the top right now. The last 4 in, Missouri is in that category, so square on the bubble for Missouri. And games like this, as we mentioned, very important for that end of the year resume. It's a road win, yes, if you can get it. But a Mississippi State team that RPI-wise is not real sharp. So if you're Missouri, you've already lost 2 in a row. You got 2 very difficult games coming up. You do not want to drop one here in Starkville, as you see Abdul Ado being tended to on the bench with that right knee.
And Mike, what Cuonzo Martin has done in such a short amount of time, it would be a disservice to say he brought a lot of talent in, because it's been so much more than that. He's brought an identity to this program, a demand and a command from this roster, and they have bought all the way in to his style of play.
And a foul down low. It'll go against Mississippi State. There you see Cuonzo Martin. Just seems a lot happier, dare I say, than when we saw him last go round in the SEC at Tennessee. It's not to say that he was unhappy in Knoxville, but Missouri is a program, again, that's kind of near and dear to him, just 2 hours away from his hometown in East St. Louis. And he was quick to remind us today at shoot-around his former head coach and mentor, Gene Cady, watching tonight, as he does each and every time one of his guys has his team out there on the floor.
Being close to that program at Tennessee and following him there, his player development was sensational. Jerron Naaman, Jarnell Stokes, Jordan McRae became an NBA player. Josh Richardson, a guy he recruited that nobody else did, has become an NBA star with the Miami Heat. And most of that is due and credit to Cuonzo Martin's tenure at Tennessee with those players.
A little choppy play here. Back-to-back turnovers. Carter with an and one. Tyson Carter. They'd love to see a little bit more of that.
As much as he settles for the three-point shot, it has been a point of emphasis coming into this game that Ben Howland has told Tyson Carter, prove you can put it on the floor, get it to the rack. If he can show he can do that, that makes teams respect his drive. And then guess what happens? They'll loosen up a little bit preparing for that, and he'll be more open on his three-point shots as opposed to shooting contested threes.
Tyson Carter with that baby face and frail frame. They list him at 165. That might be after a really big meal at an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah.
He's, you know, we've watched him now for a couple of years, and he's one of those guys that could probably eat 5,000 calories a day. He's just not going to put on weight, a problem that a lot of people would love to have. That's going to be a travel before the slam on Tillman.
Mike, Tyson Carter is going to be 40 years old and still be getting carded going into R-rated movies. A problem we wish we all would have.
Yes.
So he might not like looking young before he's 21.
Right.
But after this, he's going to appreciate the baby face.
Mississippi State flashing some more of that suffocating defense that's kept them in games all year long. Even when the offense staggers. Peters, that's a settle. And a rebound tracked down by Van Leer.
That's a great point, Mike, because both these teams really do the same thing. Good defensively and go through droughts on offense, but Missouri has some sharpshooters if you leave them open.
And they had a drought. They had missed 7 of their last 8 threes before Robertson tickles the twine on that one from downtown, and we're tied again. He has done so much to turn himself into a great three-point shooter. Cuonzo Martin says he's as hard a worker as I've ever coached. You can't keep him out of the gym. Peters got away with a push-up. No, he didn't. Anthony Jordan, veteran official, saw the same thing I did from over here.
Cassius Robertson accepted the challenge from Coach Cuonzo Martin. He got beat off the dribble a few possessions ago by Nick Weatherspoon that led to a dunk. That time he locked his man up and created the offensive foul.
Little weave action up top for Mizzou, who really plays without a true point guard on its roster. They find an open shooter in the corner, and that is Jordan Barnett, who has turned himself into an elite three-point shooter this year, 42% on the year.
Incredible athlete, can do explosive dunks, but bottom line is he is a catch-and-shoot guy.
The former Texas Longhorn. Face and fire Stapleton, and that misses everything. Cassius Robertson has been terrific this year, one of the top three-point shooters in the land.
If there's anybody you don't leave open, it's Cassius Robertson. You must find this deadly three-point shooter.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
All right, how you doing?
Welcome. So, this is the all-new Chevy Traverse. What do you think?
This looks better than 99% of the SUVs out there.
It's very modern, sleek.
Maybe the most impressive part of the all-new Traverse is what's on the inside.
What are you doing here? Oh, I missed you guys. I haven't seen you guys in so long.
What's happening?
We flew her out. It's a family car. We had to put your family in it.
Yeah, it gets 7 thumbs up. You don't think it'll happen to you, and you surely don't think it'll happen twice. I've lost 2 homes in my lifetime. First, it was a fire. My agent was right there and helped me rebuild. Then the tornado hit and destroyed everything again. Both times, my independent agent and auto owners took care of me like someone takes care of family.
For whatever lies ahead, we're always there. Auto Owners Insurance.
Coming up at half, Pat Bradley, Damian Fishback, and I will show you an unbelievable start and finish to the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Auburn rolls against LSU. But what are you seeing down to the hump?
Mississippi State, take it inside. You got bigs. It's easy.
Road recipe, shoot it well on the road. Missouri right now is doing that.
It's all about the road recipes with you. Betty Crocker over here. Back down the start.
Hey, tell them to stop talking about the road recipe.
All right, fellas, Missouri up by 3 here. Ben Howland trying to pull off an upset at home, down by 3 points. Great conversation with Ben Howland today at shoot around. I think he's really embraced this job now. Is certainly unique compared to some of his others coached in the Big East. And Pittsburgh, of course, a couple of Sweet 16s there. A couple of Final Fours at UCLA. Lost to the Florida Gators in the national championship game in 06. We were talking about that matchup today. They were replaying the SEC inside on those back-to-back title teams for Billy Donovan. They said, you know, we just ran into a buzzsaw. They were so good, we had no answers on how to defend Noah and Horford, Tarian Green, Brewer. I mean, it was just one of those teams that nobody was going to stop them that particular year. Otherwise, Ben Howland could be sitting on at least one national championship.
But that's a graphic I'd never get tired of seeing. 3 straight Final Four appearances. And what he's done here at Mississippi State, he's got it heading in the right direction. Another stellar recruiting class coming in next year. And yes, I'm sure people, like anybody, wants to be in the NCAA tournament right away. But if you look around the SEC, Frank Martin in year 5, that's when they got over the hump. Billy Kennedy at Texas A&M, year 5, that's when they got over the hump. Bruce Pearl in year 4, I believe, they're starting to get over the hump. So it can take time at these certain programs. Not every program's the same. Sometimes you can take Mike White, did a terrific job. He took over a more well-established program than a lot of these other coaches have. No offense to Mike White, because he's followed a legend and he's done a terrific job, but not every rebuilding job is the same.
That's a great point. And again, when you talk about Mississippi State, they have not been to the NCAA tournament since 2009. That number kind of snuck up on me. I mean, we're talking nearly a decade for a program that had it rolling pretty good back when Rick Stansberry was the coach. Robertson, skip pass into the corner, Puryear. Strong take along the baseline and knocks it down. Mizzou's on an 8-0 run.
Mike, one of the best offensive weapons for Mississippi State is Eric Holman, and he has not been involved. I mean, he had a pick and pop 3, but I think they need to try to get him the ball down low or in a slip situation for a shot outside.
We talked about Ben Howland, his excitement about what's brewing here in Starkville. What's brewing is the 14th overall recruiting class. Reggie Perry, a McDonald's All-American, number 23 on the ESPN 100. Robert Woodard, number 42. On the ESPN 100. So help is on the way, and it's already a very young team when you think about what they have coming back. They do not have a scholarship senior on their roster.
And I think that shows at times in terms of the sense of urgency that a senior can bring to the table. And they'll have that within time, but they can't afford that right now. If you're Quindary Weatherspoon, the season's in front of you. You got to play like every game is your last. And there's times this year where they're not playing as aggressive as they could be, but when they do, there's results like that.
You called for Eric Holman. You just got Eric Holman. A block on one end, a slam on the other. That block, incidentally, career block number 105 for Eric Holman. 6'10" out of Owensboro, Kentucky. Shot clock down to 5. Puryear a little bit out of control, and there's Holman with the rebound. But touching the basketball was Quindary Weatherspoon, and he was out of bounds. So it will be Missouri basketball. Tough break for the Bulldogs. Would have been better off just letting Holman hold on to the pumpkin there. Coming up on the 1-minute mark, Porter goes to work. Little running hook shot high off the glass and in. Jante Porter. Coach Conzo Martin told us the only thing that really needs to improve on his game, because the shot is already there, it's silky smooth. When he gets a back to the basket game, he could be scary good.
And a lot of that has to do with strength in his legs. He gets off balance too easily sometimes, but in this case, he takes his man off the dribble. A shot normally a guard couldn't get off, but at 6'11", at times he is a point forward, point center type option for this Missouri team, especially given his skill set as a passer.
Jontay Porter, son of Lisa and Michael Porter. Of course, Michael Porter, senior, serving as an assistant coach on Konzo's staff. Mother Lisa played college basketball at Iowa. Speaking of the Porter brothers, how about Michael Porter? He is tonight's player profile presented by Zaxby's. He's not playing, of course, after the surgery, but still travels with the team, still on the bench. There he is. And once again, this is tonight's player profile presented by Zaxby's. Michael Porter, hometown product out of Columbia, the #2 overall prospect in the ESPN 100. One day I'll tell my grandchildren, Dane Bradshaw, that I called the 2 minutes of action that he played against Iowa State. They were a memorable 2 minutes.
Is that you and Sunvolt on that call?
That was me and Jimmy Dykes.
Jimmy Dykes, yeah, that's right.
Carter rejected by Tillman. Shot clocked at 4. Peters, kick out pass, sets up a 3 at the buzzer by Stapleton.
Now that's a good 3. This is a team that takes too many threes because they don't make many of them. But when it's a drive, draw, dish type setup, those are the ones you must take.
Shot clock off. Mizzou will play for the final shot. And an illegal screen. Jontay Porter whistled for it.
Lamar Peters is running the point now for a reason. Inserted in the starting lineup 2 games ago. Get past this man. Simple drive, draw, dish. Stapleton, not a great three-point shooter, but when you get set up like that, the percentages obviously go up.
Peters setting up another open 3 for Stapleton. No, tip up is good. Eric Holman with a one-handed catch and shoot at the buzzer to tie it up at the half.
It helps to be 6'11". Eric Holman never gives up on the play, even with time running out, just gets the paw on it. Bulldogs with the momentum heading into the break. Yeah, that doesn't take long to review there. Eric Holman clearly beats it. Smart play, not trying to catch it with 2 hands. Just tap it in.
Still reviewing it, making sure they got it right. The angle we saw looks like it will hold up, which would bring us to half with a 31-31 tie. Eric Holman, where you see the official by Anthony Jordan count the basket.
He's one of the smarter players on this team, a high IQ, high energy, good motor guy, and this is why you don't give up on the play. Beating Tillman to the basket, giving him 2 points.
Time to head to the studio. It's the Fish, the shooter, and the impeccably dressed Peter Burns.
Now there's a lot of pressure when the camera comes on, and people are like, I wonder if he's dressed all right. How about Eric Holman, 4 of 4 from the field, 9 points. Welcome to the SEC Halftime Report. I am the impeccably dressed Peter Burns, I guess, kind of, sort of.
I'm just dressed.
The shooter, thankfully, and Damian Fishback, who's got us all beat on the suit game, 31-31. How big was that basket in the last couple baskets for the Bulldogs down at half?
It boils down to where I thought this game would come down to: the size and length on the interior. The Twin Towers on both teams. Jontay Porter, Tillman, both going against Holman and Abdul. I think that's critical for momentum, and I think Mississippi State has to continue to take the basketball inside. Lamar Peters, sensational first half for him early.
There's no question. Missouri shooting it well, too.
31-31 at a half. We had a big day in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. This game, quite arguably, was one of the more interesting ones going in, and it lived to the hype. Kentucky visiting 7th-ranked West Virginia. Kentucky was down by as many as 17, but it became the Kevin Knox show.
PB, because of the height of Kentucky's guards, they can see over that West Virginia defense and finish over them. How are you, Richards?
83-76, put it on the board. Kentucky says no. Press Virginia.
Don't pay.
You want more?
Yes.
I want Sharks in Arkansas. Arkansas hosting Oklahoma State, 22 seconds to go. Hogs inbounding down one. Antoine Beard misses the runner. Daniel Gafford there to throw the put in.
Biggest lesson to learn at end of the game, offensive rebound is always going to be critical.
Especially when you're 6'11", and can jump like Gafford.
Oklahoma State had the bunny. They missed 1, 2.
Almost critical there, too. Teams forget to box out when it's late. They think the shot clock's going down to the end of the game. The minds just leave them. And typically, the offensive rebounding lanes.
All right,
the difference, Gafford makes his tip in. Oklahoma State misses theirs.
No doubt. All right, we already took out Oklahoma State, so let's just make the whole state of Oklahoma upset, right? If Alabama can go ahead and upset 12th-ranked Oklahoma in front of Coleman Coliseum, they're going to do it like their football team does with defense.
Like that, Colin Sexton, the difference between him and Trae Young. Trae Young, more skilled shooting right now in his career, but no doubt Colin Sexton, a more athletic and physical player.
I like how he rolled there back. He didn't backpedal, he back rolled.
Braxton, I got the keys. For the top of it.
That was nice, Pete. I like
with
that.
the three, I just want to make sure you got that. Key saying, I got it again. He's on one.
That was the backbreaker against Oklahoma.
Alabama 80-73. It was. The crowd goes crazy. Another win for the SEC in the Big 12 Challenge. We go down to Florida, and my goodness, this one was laughable for 20th-ranked Florida Gators. They were on fire from three. I don't care if he didn't call bank.
Three-gore, that's right. But I don't think he called bank either. It all starts with Chris Chiozza, though. When the basketball in his hand, he is perilous in the transition offensively. But today, he shot the trifecta extremely well.
Chiozza, game-high 20 points, 14 threes for the Florida. They trounced Baylor 81-60. Let's keep up the good vibes, shall we? 22nd ranked Tennessee at Iowa State and Vols. Well, they're just looking like Pat Bradley in his prime.
Shooter.
When you move the ball, a good shooter becomes a great shooter, and Tennessee did that today. Sharing is caring, boys. We talk about it all the time. Setting your man up.
You didn't share any of the food with me earlier today.
That tastes so good, though. It tastes so good.
I said sharing is caring.
James Daniel III quietly having an outstanding year for Tennessee.
Good day for Tennessee. Let's stay in the state as TCU was visiting Vanderbilt. Probably maybe the biggest underdog coming into the SEC Big 12 Challenge against TCU. Frogs down 6. They're trying to get something going. Ronnie LaChance.
You should say it to Vanderbilt fans. You didn't think they were going to win this game.
I didn't think they had a chance.
Coach Bryce Drew doing a sensational job. We said how hard it was to play in that arena. Outstanding job by the Commodores.
Stat of the night. TCU 0 for 0 from the free throw line.
Not one free throw.
Defend without fouling.
Coach Kennedy hoping to say, hey, we got to show you the highlight. It happened. But Texas A&M trying to get something going. They were down 15 against Kansas, and
that's a very high light.
That is a very high light.
When Robert Williams is catching it.
There weren't really many for Texas A&M as the Jayhawks and Fog Allen just continued to be a tough team to beat, and A&M struggles and their woes continue. 13-8. So let's go ahead and take a look at the SEC Big 12. Tote board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Winner! Is that how you say it? Winner with the AH at the end, Pat Bradley?
Winner. I see a lot more logos on that left side.
Indeed. 6 wins, only 4 losses. That gives the SEC Big 12 Challenge title. And how about Eric Holman? Trying to get something done down in Stark Vegas, Fish.
Well, we talked about his ability to block shots, but look at the length on the offensive rebound. Go ahead, Eric Coleman. Go ahead.
Staying ahead isn't about waiting for a chance. It's about the one bold choice you make that moves you forward. The one and only Cadillac Escalade. Come in now for this exceptional offer on the Cadillac Escalade. Get this low-mileage lease on this 2018 Cadillac Escalade from around $879 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer.
I thought I'd lost my business in that fire, but my agent was there before the flames were out. He said, together, we're going to rebuild. We've got 25 employees who depended on it, and that's all that mattered to me. My independent agent and auto owners made sure we didn't skip a beat. I mean, we didn't miss a single payroll. Incredible.
For whatever lies ahead, we're always there. Auto Owners Insurance.
Guarantee the Tigers are going to win this one, Damian Fishback. Auburn Arena was locked and loaded, ready to go, and Auburn came out firing on all cylinders.
The most underrated backcourt in the league, maybe in the country, Mustafa Heron playing with passion and confidence.
This was like, NBA Jam where they're on fire the whole game. That's what it felt like, 95
He's on fire.
7.
Mustafa, my favorite player in the league. He does it from every year.
I thought this was your favorite grad transfer.
Cassius Robertson, I told you he is going to be big time when you can make shots on the road.
Bill, Mississippi, tie ball game at the half. Mizzou and Mississippi State knotted up at 31 apiece. Kind of half that Mississippi State wouldn't mind having more defensive oriented. That is the strength of Ben Howland's club. We knew that coming in. Mike Morgan, he is Dane Bradshaw. And Dane, one thing about Missouri, they shoot the three ball extremely well, but they also rely heavily on it. And in that first half, more misses than makes.
At times, it was because of Mississippi State's defense and transition flying at shooters. At other times, Missouri was just out of rhythm, missing wide open looks. But you're right, Mike. They rely heavily on it. 4 for 15, not very good in the first half. They are third in the SEC, making 9 threes per game. And this is not a high-scoring offense, so 27 points per game is a big chunk of their offense. And one guy in particular that needs to do better at making shots is Jordan Barnett. That's what he's in there to do, and he is one of the top shooters in the SEC, making 48% in league play from deep. Not so much tonight.
The only guy that was really hot from downtown was the man you would expect, Cassius Robertson, one of the top SEC three-point demons. He was 2 for 5, but the rest of the team just 2 for 10. And Missouri relying heavily at times on that three-point shot. Meanwhile, for Mississippi State, pretty much what you want. Just kind of hang toe-to-toe with a team that certainly has more in the way of overall talent.
I thought they did a good job. I mean, Missouri's a really tough defense. And Mississippi State, when they took care of the ball, they got good shots for each other. Their problem was they turned it over 9 different times. So if they can eliminate that and take care of the ball, they've shared it much better than I've seen them in recent games.
Eric Holman was special for the Bulldogs in the first half. 9 points, including that last-second tip-in to conclude half number 1. And the Bulldogs nearly committing turnover number 10 to start off the second half. Same starting 5 for each squad. Nobody in foul trouble here tonight. Peters gives it up top to Weatherspoon. Adu gets it down low, bellied up by Tillman. Tillman, nice defense, but a better shot by Abdul Adu, the 6'11 freshman.
You see right there the confidence that Ben Howland has. They were 0 for 2 in going to that to start the first half, but they went right back to it in the second, and Adu paid it off.
And there's a turnover. Peters, unselfish play to Weatherspoon. Little 4-0 run to start off half number 2. Porter left alone. That's normally his spot. Holman. And the Bulldogs will exercise some patience here. Peters, tough pass. And a turnover. Turnovers now on Mississippi State. Missouri almost gives it away. Mizzou right now just out of sync on offense.
Well, if they don't score early in transition, they're going to wind the clock down. So you got to play solid defense for all 30 seconds.
Jonte Porter is missing open looks that I've not seen him miss all year.
Yeah, this is a mix of giving Mississippi State credit defensively, but also understanding that Missouri's just off right now. And if they're off from 3, their half-court offense is shot because they rely so heavily on it.
Holman thought about a deep 3. Weatherspoon was bottled up, breaks free, and throws it wildly off the glass. There's Adu to clean it up, and that's the largest lead for the Bulldogs. 37-31. Tillman upset. He wanted that ball down low on a deep post. Robertson, a tough shot. An 11-0 run for Mississippi State. Shot clock to 7 for Geist. Geist just throws up a prayer and it drops.
He bailed him out, but Missouri on the past 3 possessions has missed open guys. Porter misses Tillman once and then again on that post up, and then Porter was missed on the pick and pop. Got to keep their head up, move the ball extremely quick. This team is best when they're sharing the basketball.
Somebody's got to let Jeremiah Tillman eat down low. He's getting good post position. Like you mentioned, he's just not getting the rock. Peters down low, Adu. That's what happens when you give your big men some paint touches.
That is a heck of a find. That's where it pays off to be short, to be able to see amongst the trees, being down in the weeds. Beautiful pass.
And there's a beautiful steal. Weatherspoon off and running, and he's hacked on the drive by Jordan Barnett.
This terrific find. He looks like he's in trouble. 2 guys on him and still knows where his big man is. Nice bounce pass by Lamar Peters, who Coach Ben Howland talked to us at shoot around today. He said, look, this is a shoot first type player because he's a terrific scorer, but they're asking him to be a pass first point guard, and that is a tough transition. But he's getting better and better in that role as the season goes on, evidenced by that pass as well as the breakaway pass to Weatherspoon. Mike, in terms of the energy to start this second half, you would think Mississippi State was the team on the bubble,
Right.
already in a, I don't want to call it a must-win. We're still in January, but Missouri's got to find that dog inside of them that Coach Martin demands game in and game out, and they can't let their defense be dictated by their offensive success.
Quinndary Weatherspoon now at 9 points after the free throw, and the lead is 7 for the hometown Bulldogs.
But this is the problem, Mike. They pass around Verona. They don't have any breakdown guys. Robertson is the closest thing to it.
He does draw a foul. Robertson to the free throw line when we come back, but Mississippi State dominating the second half.
Lamar Peters has been tasked with getting his teammates involved. That's an unselfish play. People won't notice, but it's contagious for the entire roster.
When I'm with you, the rest of the world fades away. So I got you something that stands out as beautifully as you do.
Visit Jared.com February 1st through the 14th and receive $100 off any Levion purchase. Only at Jared.
Both coaches breaking a sweat here in the second half. Ben Howland certainly liking what he sees. The Bulldogs 7 points better in the second half, up 40-33. Been a big day thus far for the Southeastern Conference. How about that? Winning the first time in the 5-year history of the Big 12 SEC Challenge. 6-4. Kentucky was down almost the entire game.
I'm going to clap it to my mic. I don't know if you can hear it on TV, but I'm applauding over here. That's a big-time win, SEC.
That's a big-time win for Kentucky on the road. A big-time win for Alabama against Trae Young, holding him to just 17 points. In fact, it was the other sensational freshman for Alabama, Colin Sexton, who had 18 points. He shined a little bit brighter than Trae Young. Kevin Knox, a career-high 34. And, yeah, you can clap. Dane Bradshaw, you played in the SEC. I've covered this league for a while, and it's hard not to feel good for this league, because you and I go back to a time where this league was routinely getting 6 bids into the NCAA tournament. Then it became kind of fun for a lot of, let's just say, outsiders to bang on this league during a rough stretch where they were averaging about 3.5 bids per year. But last year, 3 teams in the Elite Eight. This year, winning the Big 12 SEC Challenge and perhaps on its way to a record amount of bids in the Big Dance. Another strong SEC doubleheader on Tuesday. It's Florida, Georgia, and Athens and Auburn battling Ole Miss in Oxford right here on the SEC Network.
Mike, that Florida-Georgia game will be huge. The Bulldogs hosting the Gators at home. Mark Fox and his team were not able to get that win at Kansas State. They're a team that's close to the bubble as well, and so one quality win, that's what you want as a player in the SEC. You don't care about a tough schedule. You just want multiple opportunities to prove yourself worthy of getting in the NCAA tournament. And fortunately for Georgia, they have an opportunity right there on their doorstep.
And they got some big games coming up. Robertson taking over, meanwhile, for Mizzou. Nobody else has really found the hot hand other than Cassius Robertson.
Well, one thing Auburn did really well when they were able to get a win against Missouri was make Missouri's guards go left. They are right-hand dominant getting to the basket, but if you can make them go left, you can have success. Right now, Robertson getting too many right looks.
Catch and fire, Nick Weatherspoon on the triple. He came in shooting only 30% from 3. State as a team just 29%. See the RPI top 50, and there's a steal. Weatherspoon on a breakaway.
As a freshman, he shows the most competitiveness on a consistent basis. He was the first guy before practice getting up shots yesterday, working on that three-pointer, and here it is paying off in the game.
Robertson in the trees. Nico comes away with it and gets it to drop. Second impressive basket by Reed Nico, the 6'10 sophomore.
That's a big basket to stop the run, because Missouri's not built to come back from big deficits. They're not going to score in bunches, so they must keep this game close to have a chance to come back.
And a timeout called by Ben Howland, who is a little bit upset about where that last offensive set was. 7-point lead for the Bulldogs.
I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you. No, I don't wanna fall in love with you.
Every day you wake up, the goal is to get home safely. I think everybody thinks that. Buckle up, phone down. To me, it means simply when you get in the car, buckle up before you do anything. The next part, put your cell phone down, because I think it's very important that we value lives and the importance of getting home safely. If you value lives, then you understand the importance of taking the pledge. One, to put my seatbelt on. Then the other part, to put my cell phone down. Go to modot.org/buckle up, phone down, and take the pledge now. I've taken the pledge to save lives. Now it's your turn.
Adu, coming off an 0-for-4 disappointing game against Kentucky, has been terrific, especially in this second half. 10 points for the Bulldogs. The freshman is getting better with every single game, finishing around the basket much better than he was against Kentucky. Asked Coach Howland about that performance. He thought it was some of the freshman jitters that you can have with your first time in Rupp Arena, but he did not lose any confidence in the freshman in terms of getting him the ball down low, and Adu has rewarded him for that confidence.
Life on the road can be tricky if you're a three-point shooting team. Unfriendly rims sometimes can be a blockade to success. That has been the case for Mizzou. You'd think if you're Missouri that even if you have a cold day shooting at the office, when you've got bigs like Jontay Porter and Jeremiah Tillman, that you might be able to win that battle, but instead it's been the Holman-Adu show that have actually outplayed Missouri in the paint.
No question. Adu with 10.6 rebounds. You look at Jeremiah Tillman, one of the roughest, toughest guys on the court with just 2 points and 3 boards. I'm sure Coach Martin pointed that out to them in the timeout. It's going to start with the interior for Missouri to get back in this game.
It hasn't been foul trouble for Tillman today. He only has one personal foul. He just has not been able to get into a flow. Gets it down here. And again, just has it poked away. Tillman's visibly frustrated. Would love to get number 23 in gray going if you're Missouri here. Tillman. That'll be a jump ball and the arrow to Missouri. I think Tillman's had his shot blocked now 3 times.
And from this angle from here, I didn't even think he even touched the ball. Did he? Did he get the ball?
Let's see. Oh boy, that is all arm. That is a missed one right there. And poor Tillman saying, I can't buy a break. I've been whistled for more fouls per minute than anybody in the league, and then I can't buy a whistle on a all forearm call. Meanwhile, Mississippi State on a run out gets the bucket from Eli Wright. Where do you turn to now if you're Missouri? In the game for Mizzou is Brett Rao, a walk-on number 10, gets the ball here. Puryear on a cut, and Puryear will go to the free throw line. Somewhere Jeremiah Tillman saying, how come I'm not getting that whistle?
And Puryear's terrific at the free throw line. This is a guy that if he's physical and he can get to the rack, he can add to his average points per game in Puryear. But to get out of this drought, the first thing Missouri has to do is get shots off. And they're starting to turn the ball over too much, something that has haunted them throughout the season, many times because of the result of not having a true point guard.
Monday night SEC Inside gives you an all-access pass to Arkansas and LSU basketball for never-before-seen footage and sounds from the season so far. Inside the Razorbacks at 9 Eastern and the Tigers at 9:30. Puryear rattles the second one home. It's an 8-point game.
He's an 85% free throw shooter, so the more aggressive he can be, the more success Missouri can have. And that's how you stop runs, too, is get to the free throw line.
Peters around the ball screen. Swing pass into the corner. Wright almost lost it. And that ball will be out of bounds to Mississippi State. Looks like it might have hit the bottom of the backboard. Ben Howland always coaching. 445 career victories.
Lamar Peters, he's trying to get him to be a pass-first point guard, but with this lineup in right now, I think you got to tell Lamar, look for your shot a little bit more. No Quindary Weatherspoon, no Nick Weatherspoon. Tyson Carter really the only true perimeter scorer.
Carter misses the leaner.
Mississippi State doing a terrific job getting back in transition. If you can do that, then Missouri has a tough time in their half-court set.
That's the one guy you can't leave open. Cassius Robertson is the only guy that has really looked comfortable here tonight. 16 points for Robertson.
Across the country, everybody's aware of graduate transfers that come into different programs. This is a guy that's the top scoring graduate transfer in major conferences. Missouri with a huge get in the offseason, getting him on the roster.
11:41 to play. Mississippi State up by 5.
Hi, I'm the internet. You know what's difficult? Armless bowling. You know what's easy? Building a website with GoDaddy. Pick a domain name, choose a design. You can build a website in under an hour. Now that's a strike. Get your domain today and get a free trial of GoCentral. Build a better website in under an hour.
I love you. Are the credit cards in your wallet actually the best ones for you? At NerdWallet, we sort through over 1,200 credit cards to find the top cards for balance transfer, travel, earning rewards, and other perks. Using your unique info to narrow the search,
NerdWallet makes it easy to find credit cards that work harder than the ones you have now. Stop missing out. Visit nerdwallet.com to find the cards that are made for you.
Many times to get your best three-point shooter of the ball is to actually make him a screener. In this case, Missouri uses Cassius Robertson, and then number 2 in white has to help off. But then who's helping and recovering on the shooter? There has to be a quicker recovery by the Bulldogs. Find the shooter outside. Nice play call by Cuonzo Martin.
And of course, Cassius Robertson, he's been so valuable, and you could thank that man for finding the young man from Canisius, who originally was from Toronto, Ontario. Cornell Mann, assistant coach for Missouri, has had a history of recruiting kids from that area, from Canada, which has become a hotbed for college basketball players. Seems like everywhere we turn, Dane, we see a roster that has a young man from Canada. I think when people think of Canada, they immediately think of hockey. That's true, but they love the game of basketball in Canada.
Well, and what Robertson has brought to this team, where would they be without him? I mean, he's an all-SEC type player, and you look across the league at what graduate transfers have brought to successful programs. Frank Booker, not the star that Robertson is, but Frank Booker for South Carolina has been a tremendous addition for them. James Daniel III at Tennessee, they're not in the top 25 without him. And so it's a whole different game now with the transfers, especially the graduate transfers that can be eligible as soon as they step on campus.
How about my man Igor Kulichov at Florida from Rice?
How could I leave him off the list? That's why we're a good team, man. You got my back.
Carter, I'm just thankful you left a little meat on the bone for me. Carter knocks down the triple, and it's been Mississippi State, a team that has struggled shooting the basketball this year, that has caught fire in the second half.
Their shot selection, especially from 3, has been so much better this game.
Puryear with a strong cut to the basket and gets rewarded with the layup. Now we've got a little flow in this game. Weatherspoon in the trees, gets it to drop. Eight-point lead for Mississippi State. Missouri trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak in conference. Geist creates some space and banks it home. Jordan Geist, the product of Fort Wayne, Indiana.
If I'm Mississippi State, I'm putting Weatherspoon right back in that baseline action. Let him run off screens.
And it's Van Leer with a steal and then a travel.
Ben Howland runs a lot of these baseline cutters that are so hard to guard. Watch Geist 15 trying to keep up with the big-time scorer, Weatherspoon. When you trail the play, that means he can curl. Your step behind leads to trouble, and all of a sudden the big men have to come over and help. Too little, too late with an athlete like Weatherspoon.
Seems like I remember a few of those type plays at UCLA back in the day when he was working with some pretty talented Bruin squads. Weatherspoon fouled on a reach-in by Robertson. Only the 3rd team foul on Mizzou. Mississippi State 2 fouls with 9:55 to go.
How about Quindary Weatherspoon? I mean, this is a guy that's 14th in the league in scoring, 4th in steals, 4th in field goal percentage, 7th in assists, 19th in rebound. And then you watch him and you say, I still want more.
Right.
You know, I mean, we've said this about Matthew Fisher Davis at Vanderbilt, where there's some guys that make it look easy and some guys that are taking it easy, and it's hard to decipher sometimes. But you want that motor from Quindary Weatherspoon for a full 40 minutes because he is one of the most talented players in the entire league.
Great motor for Abdul Adu, helping keep that play alive. And drawing a foul on Missouri. So 14 fouls now on Mizzou.
Well, Cuonzo Martin loves Tillman. He's an East St. Louis kid, blue-collar worker, but he's going to have to show it right now because Adu is outworking him and outplaying him.
Adu goes right in on him and banks it home on Tillman. Oh, you are absolutely right. That is a good battle brewing, and Adu is winning it.
I think part of it, really, Tillman's playing so cautious with the foul troubles. He's building a wall, being very conservative, not playing as aggressive as he'd like to.
Oh, now Tillman says, I got a little something for you too, big man.
That's what Cuonzo Martin likes about him. He's not going to get punked on one end and not come back on the other. He's hoping they give the ball to Adu again. I expect to see a much more aggressive Tillman the rest of the way.
Cuonzo always talks about the fact he likes his players with a little bulldog in them. We saw some of that there by Tillman. Quindary on the other end. All of a sudden, major flow in this basketball game.
It's a fun game to watch when they make shots.
It is, isn't it? Let's keep that going for the final 8 minutes and change. Robertson on a three. Too strong. Adu boards it, and then Weatherspoon inexplicably stole it away from his teammate.
He was ready to push that fast break and take the handoff and go.
Barnett's been quiet. Feeds Tillman. Quickly doubled. Skip past to Geist. Inside Puryear. Yes, great ball movement that time by Mizzou.
Such a good pass by Geist. Missouri without a true point guard, but Geist has done a terrific job filling that role. Gets a bad pass, immediately makes the right read.
Action heating up here in Starkville. Stapleton.
That's just not a good shot.
That's a one-on-one.
He takes the worst shots on the team. He's done some good things tonight, but when he has the ball in his hands, he needs to be looking to pass.
One-on-one, step back, fade away. Geist. No. And the rebound secured that time by Tyson Carter, who needs to get his shoe back on.
Baseline action that Jordan Barnett has to cover now, which is a better matchup. He's got the size to bother Weatherspoon.
Shot clock at 3, going to have to fire. Robertson leading the break. Robertson takes it strong. Offensive foul. Great job by Nick Weatherspoon to draw the charge. Mississippi State up by 6.
Schick Extreme 3. 3 flexible blades that uniquely adapt to any contour for optimum comfort. For any twist or turn life hands you. Schick Extreme 3 and now Extreme 4 with 4 longer lasting blades. For your skin.
Valentine's Day, huh? You're probably planning to think outside the box. My advice? Don't. This Valentine's Day, think inside the box. Make a big impression this Valentine's Day. Introducing the perfectly paired collection from Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries.
Time now for our Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
Missouri's having trouble taking care of the basketball. On the other hand, Lamar Peters has been great at dishing it out. 6 assists as he assumes the point guard duties to get a turnover, lead the fast break. He's been excellent in the half court and in transition. Get his teammates involved. Good hands play of the game. All-State, Lamar Peters, terrific job.
7 steals for the Bulldogs on the night. Really, Mississippi State has been outplaying those talented bigs for Missouri. Jonte Porter and Jeremiah Tillman come in as one of the better combos down low in this league. But there you see it. Just 10 points and 9 rebounds. It's been Holman and Adu, the 2 young men from Mississippi State, combining for 21 points and 9 rebounds. And when you're Missouri and you're not shooting the ball well from 3 and you're getting beat down low, that's how you're trailing in this game.
When you think about Holman and Adu, you think about shot blockers. That's what they bring to Mississippi State more than anything, is that defensive presence and rim protection. But when they're giving you this type of offense on the other end, now you see the promise of this Mississippi State team. But in the half court, I think they've just, again, done a terrific job with their shot selection. A lot of that has been due to Lamar Peters dictating and initiating the offense correctly. They had some turnovers in the first half, but they've settled it down since then.
Mizzou goes to the zone. Do you like the decision?
Yeah, you try to mix it up a little bit, especially with the Mississippi State team that can be baited into threes like they are there. They're not going to work a lot of clock. They're easily tempted into those threes. They'll take them and jack them.
Mike Morgan with Dane Bradshaw here in Starkville. Mississippi State leading Missouri 56-50. Keep in mind, Missouri, a bubble team right now. Joe Lunardi has them as the last 4 in, but they've lost 2 in a row in league play. And a loss here tonight would drop the Tigers to 3-5 in the SEC.
Nice job by Peters. They were able to get a charge on that last possession on Geist. Again, when they go right, if you can cut them back to the left, it's going to be awfully hard for them to get where they want to go.
Geist nearly turning it over so many times this year, and Conzo knows it, where the lack of a true point guard has really been exposed by opponents of Missouri, and that's an offensive foul on Mizzou. Jonte Porter, who's been a little bit frustrated today, has not shot the ball well, might have carried over in that play.
And a nice call there. And when you look at Missouri, you look at a good roster, but you say, who on this team really makes other people around them better? Jonte Porter's that one guy, but he can only do that out of the post, and you prefer that to be in the point guard spot. I like the zone. If you Mississippi State fans go back to Kentucky, when Kentucky got that lead and they went zone, Mississippi State struggled for the rest of the game. So see if they can create some offense out of this and be patient.
4 fouls on Porter. Meanwhile, Mississippi State just has it working on offense right now. Weatherspoon down low, 8-point lead for the Bulldogs. That's their first field goal in over 3 minutes. Tillman double and throws it off the knee of Puryear.
So many empty possessions. If they're not turning the ball over in the live ball variety, they're doing offensive fouls. We talked about Lamar Peters. He has tied his career high with 7 assists.
That will not count. Did not get it off in time. A shot clock violation. Good defense there by Mizzou. Now you're starting to get near the danger zone if you're Missouri. 8-point game. A little more than 5 minutes to play. That's a good timeout called by Conzo Martin. Try to figure some things out on offense, Dane, because they've not been able to figure it out for most of the night.
To me, I think you go in the ball screen situation and do the pick and pop with Porter and Robertson. That's their best offense. Yes, it's being dependent on the three-point success, but you drag that big man away, let Porter, once he's in the game, step out and shoot that three, or Robertson go to work, because they just don't have that breakdown guy.
Don't forget tonight, following us at around 10:30 Eastern time, the SEC Now team will have full recaps and breakdowns of all the college hoop games right here on the SEC Network. And let me just tell you, it's going to be a lot of fun for Peter Burns and the gang to talk about the first victory in the 5-year history of the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Kentucky with the clincher after an Arkansas nail-biting win against Oklahoma State. Kentucky with an unbelievable come-from-behind win at West Virginia to take it 6-4. And no doubt the SEC wasn't getting a whole lot of love nationally before this weekend. They're going to get a lot come Monday morning.
Mike, you and I know Fishback predicted 10-0, I'm sure, in this thing. So, but he's going to be able to get over it. 6-4, he'll take.
That's right. He'll settle. Out of bounds to Missouri. You and I were talking with no Auburn, with no Missouri. We would have been happy with 5-5, to be honest with you.
Pat Bradley's Arkansas Razorbacks, when they won that game with Kentucky down 17 on the road at West Virginia, you thought, all right, this is going to be a split again, 5-5, and Kentucky comes back in thrilling fashion.
Tillman. Bullish in the paint, but had it poked away. Ahead to Weatherspoon, beats everybody down the floor and does a chin-up on the rim. Nick Weatherspoon with 9. The lead is 10, and that's the largest.
Mike, when's the last time Missouri shot the ball? It has been turnover, turnover, charge, turnover.
Well, there's a shot, but barely grazes the iron. Mississippi State and that suffocating defense has really taken Missouri out of most of what they do well.
Jordan Barnett's one of those guys that's averaging 15 points a game for you.
Weatherspoon hits his younger brother on a dime. Robertson to Tillman on the response, and boy, did Missouri need that in the worst way. And now a steal, and then a throw right back to Holman. Barnett almost with a big play on the defensive end. Timeout, Ben Howland and the Bulldogs.
Ben Howland's been wanting his team to share the ball more. It's easy to share and care when you're on the run. Highlight dunks. Nick Weatherspoon, freshman, most competitive guy on the team, got some rise to him too. Throwing it down.
These four lonely walls have changed the way I feel. The way I feel. I'm standing still. Running from myself no more. Together we win it all.
Gabrielle, Chanel, the new fragrance.
How do you win at business? Stay at La Quinta, where we're changing with stylish makeovers. Then, at your next meeting, set your seat height to its maximum level. Bravo, tall meeting man! Start winning today. Book now at lq.com.
Got another great doubleheader for you coming on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It'll be number 20 Florida squaring off against Georgia in Athens, and number 19 Auburn, which no doubt will be better than 19th in the country after another dominating win. Tigers, led by Bruce Pearl, will battle Ole Miss right here on the SEC Network and also streaming live on the ESPN app. With Dane Bradshaw, I'm Mike Morgan, here from the Hump in Starkville. Mississippi State trying to claim what might be their biggest win of the year. Of course, they had Arkansas a victory here as well. That surprised a lot of people, and this would also surprise a lot of people. Jordan Barnett, one of the top scorers in the league, averaging nearly 15 points a night. Just 5 points, all of them in the first half. He has been a relative non-factor in this game. Did not think we'd be saying that.
He had a slow start to the year, and people wondered what's wrong, and then he got it going. I mean, this is a guy, when you think about the 50-40-90 club in the NBA, that's a 50% field goal shooter, 40% from three, 90% from free throw. Barnett is on the thin line of that, just 48% from two. But for the rest of it, he is shooting the heck out of the basketball, but he has gotten the attention of the Mississippi State Bulldogs scouting report. Some of it's been on himself. You got to get it going a little bit more, seek his shot. But Mississippi State's done a really nice job taking one of Missouri's stars away.
Bulldogs can bleed a little clock. Shot clock down to 7. Peters, tightrope job on the sideline. 3 to shoot. He's going to have to launch. And misses everything. That'll be a shot clock violation.
Actually not a bad thing there for Mississippi State. Keeps Missouri from pushing in transition. Right. It's a dead ball. Get your defense set. Make Missouri prove to you that they can beat you in the half court, which they've been unable to do consistently.
Otherwise, Lamar Peters has had a fine night. 8 assists, a new career high. Last year against Mizzou, he had 7 3-pointers, a career high. His number is a little bit down this year as a sophomore.
We've talked a lot about the big men in this game, but I think Lamar Peters has been the difference. I mean, he's a guy that's gotten others involved for his team, whereas Missouri has not had that.
Van Leer on a catch and fire 3, and a quick timeout by Conzo Martin. Or the official's going to make sure whether or not it's a 3 or a 2. I believe play was stopped that time by the officiating crew. It's Anthony Jordan who blew the whistle. Wanted to make sure they got this right. See the, yep, Toes are behind the line. And I think that would hold up as a 3 based on that angle. Again, official timeout here, not a Missouri timeout, which is important because Missouri will get to hold on to 2 more.
It's good for 3, right? Awfully close.
I'm giving them 3 on all 3 angles. That one's perfect. You can see the big toe, the Sergeant Holka of the toes behind the 3-point line. Should be okay.
So you're down 7 if you're Missouri. And yes, the zone is a good option against Mississippi State, but it's also not what Missouri does. So they're not great at it. Plus, there's not much time left in the game. You've got to try to speed this up, rush Mississippi State into a quick shot. So I'd expect Missouri to stick man-to-man, and they'll have to come back because, as you alluded to, Mike, earlier, the schedule doesn't get much easier.
Well, I mean, if you lose this one, and we talked about this at the top, why this game was so important to Mizzou, that would be 3 losses in a row. You're about to go to Tuscaloosa, who is playing some tremendous basketball, big win over Oklahoma today, and then Kentucky, who, oh, by the way, just beat West Virginia on the road. If you're not careful, you could have a 5-game losing streak on you, and that's scary territory for a team that's already on the bubble.
And many times it's about when you catch an opponent. Catching Alabama right now is not a good thing. Catching Kentucky right now is not a good thing. Those are 2 teams that weren't playing very confident maybe early in conference play, but now they're coming off high notes, and not good timing for Missouri to have them on the schedule.
Still plenty of time for Mizzou. Just got to get some stops, and that'll help. A turnover, as Eric Holman had a case of the happy feet. 15 turnovers on Mississippi State. But here's Mizzou sitting on just 54 points tonight. Jordan Barnett, their second leading scorer, has been ultra quiet. Where's the offense going to come from here?
Mike, we thought before the game, Mississippi State could find a way to get 67, 68 points. They'd be in good shape. It hadn't been pretty. They've turned it over several times, but offense has been good enough, and another empty possession for Missouri.
Just an easy call there on a legal screen right there in front of the officials.
I know Coach Martin not happy with his big man. In these last 2 minutes, I might come out with 5 shooters on the court. Put Porter in for Nico, spread it out, and try to come back from the 3-point line.
Peters, crossover. Oh, what a pass to Weatherspoon! The career assist day continues for the sophomore from New Orleans, Lamar Peters. 9 dimes now for Peters. Puryear, best look he's had all day. It's been that kind of day for Missouri. Under 2 minutes to play. Peters, another one, and Holman got pushed by Puryear.
When you see penetration and Barnett gets caught ball watching, he's staring at the ball. There's Weatherspoon sneaking back door. You must move when penetration happens. You can't stand still. And Mississippi State has done as good of a job as I've seen them in the past 3 games of sharing the basketball, playing with one another. And that man right there, Lamar Peters, has set the tone for the entire team.
You know, I asked Ben Howland today at shoot-around about Lamar Peters, whose numbers are down this year. He really impressed me as a freshman. I thought we had a chance to see a rising star and a guy that really would have improved dramatically. And one of the things Coach Allen mentioned, you know, he got a little bit maybe too much hype in the offseason. A lot of people telling him he was going to be a great pick, and then see Van Leer hit a clutch shot, a quick timeout by Konzo. But Lamar Peters is now starting to show you some of the glimpses that we saw from a year ago when he made the All-SEC freshman team. And we've seen the good from Mississippi State. Unfortunately for Missouri, we've seen some bad from the Tigers.
Well, look, it's not like Missouri's been that bad defensively. You hold a team to 64 points, you should be in a position to win the game, but it was the empty possessions on offense, the charges, the turnovers, bad basketball in the second half with Missouri. Again, they just fail to have that go-to guy in terms of a breakdown player on the perimeter that can create for others, because 64 shouldn't be insurmountable, but they've just lacked. And you know what? Jonte Porter is a really skilled player. Tillman has a ton of upside. But when you don't have a breakdown guy on the perimeter, and you don't really have a guy you can dump it down in the post to and say, we're going to get something good on this possession, that's a problem right now. And Missouri just can't score in the half court consistently.
And 18 turnovers is going to get you beat more often than not in this league. 18 times they have given it away, combined with some poor shooting. Weatherspoon. Ric Flair would have been proud of that move. Robertson got him in a little bit of a headlock.
But this is maturity from Nick Weatherspoon. A lot of people won't see this, but Nick Weatherspoon gets caught up, tangled at the end there. A lot of freshmen will react negatively. He just went straight to the free throw line as fast as he could. Didn't get in any trouble. No reason to get a technical foul, any flagrants, none of that. Just take care of business.
Be happy that you earned a chance at the free throw line. You see the upcoming schedule from Mississippi State. Again, there's no gimmies in this league this year, but if we see this kind of basketball from Ben Howland's club, there will be some W's on that schedule.
And it's not like they've been far off. They had a lead against Ole Miss. Yeah, they got blown out against Florida, but you know, the Alabama game, they came back, lost it down the stretch. Kentucky, they were very competitive until the last 6-7 minutes. So this is a team that's not far away, and we're seeing here why they have so much upside tonight.
8-point game, 1:22 to go. Still plenty of time if you're Missouri. You don't have to rush too much. Just got to hit some shots. Mizzou with one timeout remaining.
Mike, if I'm Missouri, I'm attacking the rim, because Mississippi State, they're all talking on the court right now. We can see them here, shooter, shooter, no threes, no threes. That is the perfect time to just get a quick two within 5 seconds and make it a two-possession game.
Geist, another illegal screen. That's the second one on Nico.
And they had what they wanted. If he sets that solidly, Geist is in there getting all the way to the hole for a bucket or a foul. But if when you're sprinting up to the screen, you've got to get the feet set and you can't clip the defender. Nice job by Peters selling it hard.
And now if you're Missouri, you have to foul. 1:15 to go. And hope that Mississippi State is less than efficient from the free throw line. Now, you know, I said this the other day. We had South Carolina at Florida. Florida was fresh off a win against Kentucky, and at times Florida looks Final Four good. And Frank Martin's group goes in there, double-digit underdogs. They steal a win. Mississippi State taking on a Missouri team that I think a lot of people are still very much high on, a lot of tournament buzz with Konzo's crew. If the Bulldogs pull this off, it's just more evidence of how deep this league is this year, where the bottom and the middle can beat anybody else in the SEC.
And for all fans watching that say, I can't figure out our team, you are not alone. It's going to be all year long, and it's because of the quality of the teams and the competition within the SEC.
Geist gets hammered, and he'll go to the line. You see Joe Lunardi's bracketology, and if you know anything about Joe Lunardi, he doesn't miss by much. He's got the SEC with 8 bids. Now Missouri is that number 8 on that list for the Southeastern Conference, which, by the way, has never had more than 6. 6 is the record. So even if you settled for 7, you've still made history in the SEC. Too strong on the second. Weatherspoon secures the rebound and finds a streaking Peters. Robertson has it blocked. And somehow that went in.
A goaltend for 2.
Weatherspoon. Down low to Carter, the hoop and the horn. Everything has gone right for Mississippi State in this second half.
This is a team that does not have a good assist to turnover ratio on the year, just 1-to-1. But they've had 17 assists here tonight. Nice job 2-on-1. Defender comes up, finished through the contact.
And that made Pops proud. Great Carter, the father and high school coach of one Tyson Carter.
For kids watching at home, Mike, you know, we talked a lot about Lamar Peters, rightfully so. He's been all over this game. He's got 4 points.
Right.
I mean, you get your teammates involved. I think he's been the most important player on this court. And then, of course, Adu with the work that he did on the interior, and especially in the second half.
The big men were the story in the first half. The guards, Peters, the Weatherspoons, they were the story in the second half. And Mississippi State going to pick up a very valuable win against a good Missouri team. That's the icing on the cake by Weatherspoon. Bulldogs are going to improve to 3-5 in the SEC.
Mike, that's why you love Eric Holman. The game is in check. This kid doesn't stop until the final whistle. Eric Holman is a glue guy for this Mississippi State team.
He's not going to pass Jarvis Bernardo for the shot block record, but he'll continue to move up the charts.
He's going after it. He's not missing a stat opportunity. Maybe that's why he's got the big motor at the end.
That's right. Two sides shaking hands. Missouri will have to regroup after a 3-game losing streak, but a big win for Mississippi State. Your final score 74-62. The Bulldogs win it. For Dave Bradshaw and our entire crew here in Starkville, this is Mike Morgan saying so long and good night from Starkville. SEC Now is coming up next.